Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Please let me know, everybody, before I begin, if the sound is okay, if everything is all right, because I just got some uh, new equipment to hook up to check some of my sound issues. So I hope everything sounds okay and everything is all right. If the volume is cool and all that. Is the volume cool? Is it cool? Okay, good, good, good. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We'll find out more when I start playing some videos here because I do want to play some videos. You sound like Mike Winger. Hey, thank you. Thank you. That's a good compliment. It's a good compliment. Thank you. So, sound is excellent here on YouTube. Excellent. Fantastic. So, I scheduled this live stream today despite the fact that David Seguera is live at the same time, but I didn't couldn't see any other way and didn't want to be dissuaded by David Seguera being live at the same time because this topic is very, very important right now. Because he is doing his own show about Muslims wanting to kill us, which is, of course, kind of important. But at the moment, at the very moment, there's something very, very important going on, which is that the people of Iran are being massacred. The people of Iran are being massacred. So the beautiful, brave people of Iran are standing up to the disgusting Islamic regime, to the disgusting Islamic government. And the Islamic government, the Islamic regime, what they did as a response is to shut down the internet and phones completely. So let's get this straight here for a second. Don't want to wait too much with the information, but since January 8th, the Islamic regime has been selectively at first shutting down the internet access and phone access for different cities and different regions inside Iran because Iranians were protesting and the protests have only increased in strength. So eventually they started with several cities. They shut down the internet here and there with the hope that they could somehow um, shut down some of the protests, disconnect people from each other, and overcome these protests. It didn't quite work out for them. Now they have imposed in Iran a nationwide blackout of internet access and phone access. So imagine this. This is the 21st century. For people in the Western world, this is very much hard to believe, right? Because if something happens, you turn on your phone, you can make a video of it, you can go live, you can publish it on social media and all that. The Islamic regime in Iran is such a dark, messed up regime, such a messed up government, that in response to the protests, in response to people wanting their rights and fighting against this regime, they simply shut everything down. Now people cannot directly go online and communicate with each other what is going on. Of course, they did this in an effort to shut down people's ability to communicate with each other and to organize and to be stronger in their protests. But so far, it is not helping because the protests are only escalating. People are calling it a revolution now. They're calling it a revolution now, an actual revolution this time. So, for those who know the context and the little recent history, or who don't, Iran was not an Islamic government, not an Islamic regime until very recently, when the Islamic Revolution happened. When the Islamic Revolution happened several decades ago in 1979, and this Islamic Revolution was done with lies, with complete deception, with the idea that that these new guys, including the founder Khomeini, who has a huge tomb and who is seen basically like a representative of God, of Allah, in among the Islamists inside Iran. They made the people this promise that they would transition the country into a proper democracy, so everybody would have equal rights and everybody would have a say. But as soon as they seized power and kicked out the Shah, the king, what they did was to immediately turn around and arrest anybody who actually helped them in the revolution. And the dumbest of all in that revolution were the communists, the socialists, the Marxists, because they were the ones who were working together with the Islamists, with Khomeini, to overthrow the Shah and to install a new system. They were the ones who were together with the Islamists doing this kind of stuff. And as soon as the Islamists took over, the first thing they did was to immediately turn and arrest all those socialists and communists and secularists who helped them in their revolution. They locked them up. They executed them in the hundreds, in the thousands. They shut down their political parties. They installed a supposed democratic system, the democratic system of Islam, the Islamic Democratic Republic. Under this system, you could not participate in elections unless you agree with the fundamental Islamic values, which are that this is now an Islamic government that only serves Allah and may not serve the individual, but only the collective under the guidance of Islam. So the promise of giving everybody the right to properly vote and engage in politics was immediately broken. Islam was imposed on the entire population. Brutal violations were imposed. It was forbidden for women to go outside without the hijab. Restrictions on walking out in the streets were imposed. People were arrested and executed for their religious beliefs, and so on. And this has been going on for quite a while now, since '79 to this day. Today, by now, they have not been able to properly indoctrinate and brainwash their own Iranian population. When you ask Iranians now, the vast majority of them hate the Islamic regime. The vast majority of them hate the Islamic regime. The vast majority of them want to get rid of the Islamic regime. They want to get rid of the supreme leader, the successor of Khomeini, Khamenei. They are doing everything they can right now, risking their lives out there to get rid of this Islamic regime. And they are unfortunately facing brutal consequences. It's very easy for us to sit here and to talk about what's happening. According to the Iranian government itself, over 3,000 people so far have died, have been killed in these current protests that started in December, less than a month ago, on the 28th of December. It's only been like a little over 2 weeks. According to the Islamic regime itself, over 2,000 or 3,000 people have been killed in these protests. And the Islamic regime is a regime that is evil and that is dishonest, that is full of lies. According to other sources that are not part of the Islamic regime, the death toll has reached over 12,000. According to other sources, it's over 15,000. According to a CBS report published earlier today, it may be up to 20,000. Up to 20,000. The thing that comes to mind immediately is, where is the world? Where are all these human rights activists? Where are all the celebrities? Why are they not speaking about this? They were very, very quick to start protesting and doing mindless solidarity campaigns when Hamas committed a brutal terrorist attack and killed over 1,000 innocent people in Israel, which, in response to which Israel declared war and started bombing Gaza. Then they were all very, very quick to jump up and show solidarity and say free Palestine. According to legitimate sources, over 12,000 people have been brutally murdered in a few days. Nobody's speaking, nobody's saying anything. The only people speaking now, so far, and who are being very, very loud and active about all of this are online activists, Iranians, their allies, the United States of America, and Israel. Unfortunately, I have to say, it is a little bit disappointing, and I don't want to speak too soon. I hope something is done. But even what comes from Israel and from America at this point is not enough. Israel and America both said and promised that they stand together with the people of Israel, with the people of Iran. So far, they have stood by as over 12,000 people have been murdered by the Islamic regime of murderers. Donald Trump said that if the Islamic regime once again starts murdering people, starts killing protesters, then we will go in and stop them. Unfortunately, so far nothing happened. The people are left on their own. The anti-Iranian Islamic regime turns off the lights, turns off the internet, turns off the phones, and kills people brutally. So far, the world is simply standing by. Can you imagine if Israel did something like this? Simply started mowing down protesters. Everybody would be talking about this. Iran, the Islamic regime, is doing it to Iranians. The United Nations has not said a single thing. Only today has the General Secretary of the United Nations expressed his concern and his condemnations about this. And he's very, very shocked about this. There is a lot of stuff going on, and I want to cover much of it. I'm going to look at a few sources and a few things that. So I want to first off bring up this here. Donald Trump has been kind of going back and forth. He has been saying that he's going to go in and help the Iranians against the Islamic regime. Then J.D. Vance kind of said, I don't think this is the right thing to do. I think we need negotiations. And with all due respect, J.D. Vance really needs to shut up when it comes to geopolitics and all kinds of other things. For reasons like these, and because he's overall so weak and simply an actor, I sincerely hope that J.D. Vance does not take an attempt to become the president, because I think he would just, I think he would fumble it, and it would not be so good. I would put all my bets and all my votes for Marco Rubio. Definitely not JD Vance. JD Vance is completely clueless when it comes to politics and the world. However, the good thing is that JD Vance didn't really get much of an ear when it comes to this matter. Donald Trump didn't listen to JD Vance. At least that's what it seems like at the moment. What he said today, just a few hours ago, Donald Trump on his official account is Iranian patriots keep protesting, take over your institutions, save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. I have canceled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way. MIGA, make Iran great again. President Donald J. Trump. To the extent that I have followed it, it was actually JD Vance himself who pushed for negotiations with Iran, with the Islamic regime of Iran. The Islamic regime called and said that they want to meet and talk. And initially, Donald Trump agreed to it. But after much backlash, Donald Trump actually canceled the meetings. And said to the protesters in Iran, keep protesting, take names, help is coming. So help is on its way. It is unsure at the moment what he means by help is on its way. As it stands right now, the latest updates are simply that that Trump urges the Iranians to keep protesting, to keep going. There were talks that he is currently exploring military strikes on Islamic regime targets and Islamic military targets, but so far nothing really happened. So CBS has said that over 12,000 people, between 12,000 and 20,000 people have been murdered in these attacks. Donald Trump initially said that if they start killing people, then we will stop them. I wish we actually acted. We are leaving these people alone. I want to point out a few things here, just to bring people closer to the idea of Iran, especially for those who might not be very familiar with Iranian culture and what Iran is and all that. I'm always happy to have Iranians explain things for themselves, which is why I have pushed to get Iranians to join certain platforms and to speak there. I just sent Maher Tusi on Charlie Kirk show. I think he's going to be on the Charlie Kirk show tomorrow. Um, Elika Lebon was just on the Charlie Kirk show yesterday. They're doing a fantastic job. I heard that Goldie Gamari was just on Piers Morgan. I am going to have to review that, so I think I might just stick around here and actually review that stuff. But I want to explain a few things to those who are not familiar with Iran, and for those who might be unfamiliar to all of this, who might be watching simply to learn and to find out what the hell is going on. So I made a short post here to say, dear Americans, the Islamic regime, which is oppressing the great people of Iran, is your enemy. They have been chanting death to America for decades and have forced Iranian children to chant the same. I could expand on this forever, but I have spoken to many Iranians who grew up in Iran. I have been quite familiar, have made myself quite familiar with the history of Iran over the last few decades. But Iran, the Islamic regime in Iran, makes it a huge priority to depict the United States of America as their major enemy. In fact, they keep chanting death to America, death to Israel. They keep defining or describing America as the great Satan and Israel as the little Satan, or the other way around. People who are raised in Iran under the Islamic regime learn from very early on as children in school to chant on different days death to America and death to Iran. Can you imagine being raised like that? Imagine for a second being raised like that. You are raised in your country, which is led by these imams, by these mullahs. You go to school. You're a little child. What you are told in school is to shout, "Death to America, death to Israel." So the children were raised under this kind of stuff. Despite that, over 80% of Iranians hate the Islamic regime today. I can very, very much back this up simply by going into some of the recent surveys, some of the research to show what Iranians actually think about the Islamic regime. We have surveys such as this one here by Gaman. I think this was, if I'm not mistaken, done 2 years ago. Oh, it's 4 years ago. For some reason, I thought it's 2024 right now, but apparently it's not. It's 2026. So, according to this study here, there are some very, very important things to actually explore here. According to this study, people go for different options. There are those who say that it should be an absolute monarchy. There are those who say it should be a constitutional monarchy. There are those who say it should be a secular republic in Iran. Only 22.4% say it should be an Islamic republic. Imagine that. Only 22.4% of Iranians, when asked what is the most suitable system for Iran, say it should be an Islamic republic, which is the system that we have in place right now. So 80% of the people don't even agree that this system should be in place. They go for these other options. Some people are hardcore monarchists. Some people want an absolute monarchy. Some people just want a secular republic. The good thing about this is that the current crown prince, Reza Pahlavi, he himself is pushed by many people as the monarch, the Shah, who should take over. But he himself says, we will do whatever the people want, whatever the people eventually decide. And if they decide that we should have a monarchy, a constitutional monarchy, we will do that. If the people decide it should be a secular republic, then we will do that. So he wants to take over the leadership and wants to then leave it up to the people to together transition this country into a proper system that actually works. But nobody, except for a minority, wants it to be an Islamic republic. These people do not want the Islamic regime. There are lots of questions here. There are a lot of people who question the popularity and the legitimacy of the crown prince Reza Pahlavi, There are many people who side with foreign elements and who say that the people of Iran actually don't want Reza Pahlavi, the Shah, the monarch, to be their leader. This is easily disproven when you ask Iranians themselves. In this very same survey, you see this following question here. If there were free elections in Iran in which nominees of diverse political orientations could participate, which of the following persons would you vote for? You can see here the responses. 39.5% say they would vote for Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince. 39.5%, by far the most popular option. 16% say none of the above, 5% say someone else. 39.5% say they would vote for Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince, to lead the country. There's also another very, very interesting element here. There are some traitors among us in America, like Rudy Giuliani or Matt Gaetz, for example, who have been paid by an Islamic communist terrorist organization to encourage an Islamic terrorist organization and their takeover of Iran. Here is an example of that. Matt Gaetz here, happily, like many others, interviews this clown who is a member of an organization that calls itself the National Council of Resistance of Iran. This clown here is part of this organization, National Council of Resistance of Iran, that is also called the MEK, which is an Islamic terrorist organization, and they pay American politicians and influencers to promote themselves as leaders of a new Iran. They push a leader by the name of Maryam Rajavi, who is a cult leader, who is the leader of this Islamic communist organization, who is responsible for the deaths of many Iranians. This is very important because let's get back very quickly to the poll we were just looking at. Maryam Rajavi. Look at the options that people pick when they say, if you could vote for anybody, who would you vote for? Number one by far is Reza Pahlavi. Do you see who is at the very, very bottom of this list with only 0.8 people? Maryam Rajavi. The cult leader of the Islamic Communist Terrorist Organization MEK, which Matt Gaetz, Rudy Giuliani, and others promote for money. Just a little thing to point out here. Armin sent me here. Goldie sent me. Isn't Goldie live herself right now? Goldie, aren't you live for? Goldie, are you watching me? Am I going to watch you watch me? Just a little thing to point. Oh, that's funny. That's very cool. Goldie, thank you for that. Okay, Goldie's apparently gone, and she's just streaming my live stream on her live stream. That's pretty cool. So that's amazing. Thank you, Goldie. Shout out to Goldie Gamare. She has a fantastic voice, fantastic new channel. Have recommended many people to go check her out. She's a fantastic source on everything Iran. So definitely go and check out Goldie. In fact, let me quickly put her channel here on the screen so that I don't just talk about her, but also have her right here. Goldie Gamari. I'm not very quick following everything that is going on at the moment, but if you want to follow very closely what's going on in Iran, follow Goldie Gamari. She's a fantastic speaker, former politician, fantastic source, goes live very, very much every day, multiple times, to talk about what is going on in Iran, and she has crazy views as we can see here right now. So definitely follow her. Follow Armin Navabi. Follow also Mahyar Tusi on Tusi TV. He has been on it brutally, and I mean he currently has 1.3 million subscribers. He was just live earlier as I was talking to him. Follow all these people. This is currently the most important thing. I would say that the situation in Iran right now is possibly the most important event, the most important series of events of the 21st century. If the Islamic regime that is ruling over the great people of Iran is overthrown, this will be a massive victory for humanity. It will be a victory for humanity, not just for the people of Iran. It will be a victory for the Middle East. It would be a victory for all of humanity. The Islamic regime has it in their constitution and directly believes ideologically that it is their mission to expand their idea of Islam, of Islamic revolution, to the entire Middle East and also to the rest of the world. So they have been directly creating and funding terrorist organizations like Hezbollah. They have been funding and supporting Hamas and other terrorist organizations. They have killed innocent civilians of multiple different nations on their path of subverting all countries and bringing about their Shia Islamic Mahdi, their savior, in the end. This is a poison for the Middle East and for the rest of the world. The Iranians are some of the most promising, bravest, most fantastic people out there, educated, full of culture. It is time for them to take over their country. And I am normally not for military intervention in any sense, but I would fully, entirely support America to send over our, firepower, not necessarily boots on the ground, but anything to take out military targets, take out government targets of the Islamic regime, to weaken them as much as possible, and to give Iranians the power, the strength, the means to take over their own country once again. Because the Islamic regime is not Iranian. The Islamic regime are a bunch of Islamist, anti-Iranian bastards who are tyrants. So I am all for that. She has shared one clip and multiple clips. I shall check them out. I'll look at her conversation on the panel with Piers Morgan in a second. This is from yesterday. I don't understand what they're saying, but if anybody can confirm, are they saying death to the dictator? Is that what they're saying? I think that's what they're saying. Mark dictator. Mark bar dictator. Is that what they're saying? I think that's what they're saying. Yeah, I can confirm they're saying death to the dictator. Yes, cool. My Persian is getting better. See, from the little bit that I see. And you can hear fires, whatever is being shot at them. Tehran lies last night at Engelab Square. An ocean of people who are being killed with bullets from both foreign mercenaries and Islamic Republic are marching forward and shouting, Javed Shah, let the world see their bravery. Javed Shah means long live the Shah, long live the king, the monarch. People want their monarch back instead of trusting this disgusting Islamic regime. Polymarket says SpaceX engineers are working around the clock to bypass Starlink jamming by the Iranian regime. So one good thing that Elon Musk did when the Islamic regime shut down the internet access and the phone access for people inside Iran, Elon Musk activated Starlink for the people of Iran. But the government actually is so hostile that the government started jamming and shutting down people's Starlink access somehow. So now Elon Musk and SpaceX are working to somehow bypass that and to allow people inside Iran to use the internet to connect to the world. Because this is, as said, it's not just some form of punishment that the Islamic regime is inflicting upon the Iranian people. They're specifically imposing a complete blackout. They're shutting Iranians away from the rest of the world to then kill them. They're gunning down people in the streets. They're killing them. We have multiple reports confirming thousands possibly between 12,000 and 20,000 massacred in Iran right now. These are Iranians. The Islamic regime are not Iranians. They are traitors. They are Islamists. They do not care about about Iran. Let's hear what Elika says.
Okay,
Let me know if you can hear this, if everything is okay.
I'm going to say this one time and one time only because I have reached my absolute limit. Yesterday, the anti-Zionist club, such as Owen Jones and Anna Kasparian, decided to take to the internet to speak against helping the people of Iran.
Opposition to all Western intervention.
But regime change should not be spurred by the United States and Israel.
Claiming that the Iranian people don't want intervention. Well, isn't it so funny how those same people for the past 2 years were demanding intervention in Gaza, yet suddenly the shoe is on the other foot when Israel's on the other side of the story? Isn't it funny how that works? That's because they do not care about Iran. They care about their obsession with hating Israel, even at the cost of our lives. You don't know what the people of Iran want. You don't know because you've never bothered to listen to them. If you had, you would know that they've been screaming through these internet blackouts that they want help, that they will not survive without it. Your talking points, your stories, your narratives, they are nothing but myth. You do not know the story of Iran. That's why you sit there regurgitating Khomeinist talking points, saying that the Shah was an evil dictator. You have no idea. You have no idea who the Shah was. Do you know why hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people are in the streets today chanting Javid Shah, which means long live the king, which, by the way, you wouldn't know because you don't speak our language. The reason that they're chanting Javid Shah is because they woke up from the Khomeinist lie that you keep perpetuating. It was Khomeini who declared that the Shah was an evil dictator. Every independent reporter after the fact reduced his number of 100,000 political prisoners down to 3,000, down to 1,000 a year before the revolution. And guess what? The overwhelming majority of those political prisoners were Marxists and Islamists and separatists who wanted to destroy Iran. Those lies that you were importing into Iran while muzzling the voices of the Iranian people, that is your Western imperialism. And just like true imperialists, you do it with such colonized emotion. You colonize our passion, veins bulging out of your neck while you screech your lies over the Iranian people as if you're one of us, as if the pain of our ancestors runs through your blood. You are imposters. You are impersonators. You are a lot of things, but God help me, you are not one of us. Worse than all of those things, you are leeches of our time, of our energy, of our resources that we're supposed to be pouring into Iran right now, into the 12,000 massacred, into Irfan Soltani, who is set to be hanged from a crane tomorrow for protesting. Yet, we have to sit here going back and forth with you to correct the damage from these false narratives that you are propagating to your million-strong audiences. And spare me your tired accusations. Call me a Zionist stooge. Call me a CIA agent. Call me a Western lackey. We've heard it all before. But good luck convincing your audience that the millions of Iranians calling for the Crown Prince and demanding intervention are all Zionist stooges. Your propaganda tactics died with the Soviet Union. George Orwell already warned us in 1984 how you turn us all...
Normally, it is customary to pause somewhere and to comment on it, but I really don't want to pause anything about this. I just wanted to say that because I don't know how I can say it better.
To unpersons, how every enemy of your ideology becomes a fascist, a lackey, a stooge. It's over. It is over for you Western imperialists. We are done with the boots of your ideological colonization in our homelands. And I promise you one thing, when this Islamic regime is in the ash heap of history, which it very soon will be, you will not be remembered as the humanitarians of our time with glowing reputations. You will be remembered as the greatest tools of oppression, of tyranny, of totalitarianism, of terror of our time. Get out of Iran, and for the love of God, stay out. Okay.
Wow, that was quite good. This is Elika Lebon. She was also on the Charlie Kirk show yesterday. She was on the Charlie Kirk show yesterday. She's very passionate about all of this because she's Iranian, and is one of the many people who are from Iran and who cannot go back to Iran. She can't go back to her own country. She can't possibly visit her own country, her own home country of Iran. If she went there, she would be disappeared. She would be arrested. She would be possibly executed, or at least set up for execution, because that's what the Islamic regime is. But she's a fantastic speaker. Would definitely recommend following her across platforms. She is a rising voice on this, and is going to continue to be a rising voice on this. I have whenever it comes to Iran, I have been spending a lot of time simply promoting Iranians to speak about this stuff, and I want them to give each one of them as much as possible space and whatever resources I can give them to speak, because their struggle is a very, very great, a very noble one, and I want them victorious. I want to see them emerge victoriously and defeat the Islamic regime once and for all. Naveed Mohibbi said, wait a minute, why did I click on this? Because somebody else quote tweeted it. I haven't read this right now, but I gotta go through this quickly. It's 3:20 a.m. in Tehran. Here are my 16 key observations on the current state of protests in Iran. 16 days of nationwide protests from December 28th to January 12th mark the largest mass demonstrations in Iran's modern history. As of this hour, there are no verified reports of street protests today. According to multiple reports, at least 12,000 people have been killed. At least 12,000 people have been killed. 12,000 people have been killed. A figure that can only be described as a massacre. Observers warn the real number may be significantly higher. Let's put something into perspective here. When October 7 happened, and the Palestinians killed over 1,000 Israelis of all backgrounds, there were protests around the world already on that day in favor of Palestine, asking for a free Palestine, asking to stop the genocide and whatever it is. As soon as Israel began responding to a terrorist attack and started fighting against terrorism, as soon as a few thousand deaths were reported, people started calling it a genocide and the world started going crazy. Now contrast that to what is happening here in Iran. People simply went out protesting. These protesters didn't go out killing anybody. They didn't go out raping people. They didn't go out burning people alive. They didn't go out doing any of these things. They simply started protesting to demand an end to the tyrannical Islamic regime. In response to that, over 12,000 people, some sources say over 20,000 people, have been brutally massacred. Where are the protests? Where are the voices? Where are the people? Where is Greta Thunberg? Where are all the celebrities with red hands going out and protesting? Where are all the disgusting celebrities making a stupid post to stick to the trend? Iranian diaspora media, including Iran International, Monoto, and BBC Persian, shifted coverage today. After days of cautious reporting to avoid spreading fear, they began documenting the scale of the regime's crimes. Iranian society is in shock. Emotions are raw and volatile. Regime media struck a triumphalist tone, citing yesterday's pro-government rally and claiming that with the wisdom of the people and security forces, Iran's enemies were defeated, just as in the recent 12-day war. Tasnim, an IRGC-affiliated outlet, ran a full-page headline, Iran won its second war with Israel in one day. This is a very, very important element here. Since the beginning of these protests, the Islamic regime, led by Khamenei and his puppets, have declared their own population, the Iranian population, which, let's be fair, is not actually their own population. These bastards are simply tyrants over this beautiful population. They have declared the Iranian population as enemies. They have described the Iranian population as enemies of Allah, which honestly is a very flattering thing to say. I find it very, very nice when people call me an enemy of Allah, because I certainly am an enemy of Allah. But so enemy of Allah is an accusation or a charge in Iran that directly leads to the death sentence. Under the Islamic regime, under their morality, based directly on Quran chapter 5, verse 33, anyone who protests or who attacks the Islamic regime is an enemy of Allah who is waging war against Allah and his messenger and against Islam, and thereby deserves the death penalty. So for the Islamic regime, it is completely okay to simply start shooting these protesters and killing them. That is entirely all right. The one thing that they also have in their minds, which they've also voiced several times, is that the people do not matter to them. The Iran does not matter to them. What matters to them is Islam. So if all of Iran started going out and protesting, they would have no problem shooting all of the Iranian population down and killing them in a great massacre. Because what matters to them is the victory of the Islamic regime. What matters to them is the victory of Islam. That's how they act. That's what they believe. What they also do is to, as soon as there is a protest, even if 50,000 or 100,000 people are protesting, they somehow sell this ridiculous idea that these protesters are all simply Israeli agents. Unfortunately, this Islamic attitude of blaming everything on Israel and of depicting Israel as the enemy and of saying, "Oh, this is something bad happened here, must be Israel. This person is doing something bad, no, must be Israeli. Somebody's attacking me, must be from Israel. My mother is attacking me, must be Israel. My brother is killing me, must be Israel." It's always Israel. It's always Israel and America. This attitude is always there in the Islamic world, held by the Muslim Islamic population. The Islamic regime popularly uses this all the time. If there are protesters running through the streets, the government will immediately describe that as Israel running through the streets and fighting against the Iranian nation, against the Iranian people. Which is why they will kill happily 12,000 Iranians and will afterwards gloat about it and say, "We have defeated the Israeli enemy." This is how sick, how absolutely sick these bastards are. That's how they have to stay in power. They have to depict, this is actually a very common thing. I don't know if there's an English term for it, but I mean, it's called the enemy image or enemy picture. But in German, it's known as Feindbild. I wouldn't be surprised if that word has been taken over into philosophy in English. But it is a very typical tactic to be used when you are insecure and you want to gaslight people and stay in power or make people listen to you or shift blame. You have to raise an enemy image in the heads of people and point at that enemy at all times to say, hey, let's not focus on my shortcomings. Let's not focus on our failures. Let's not focus on this. Look at this enemy. The enemy is doing this. The enemy wants us to focus on our mistakes. The enemy wants you to complain. We can't complain. We have to focus on the enemy. They have to depict this common enemy and thereby stay strong and thereby stay in power. This has been the MO, the major strategy of the Islamic regime forever, since the revolution. Opposition voices counter this narrative, pointing to the 1979 revolution's 398-day trajectory and arguing that revolutions are marathons, not 2-week events. They describe the current path as irreversible and insist this is not the end of the game. Yeah, I also do not believe that this current revolution is stoppable. I think it's very, very I think it's very likely that what is happening right now has gone way past any point of, being stoppable. I think this will lead to the revolution, to the counter-revolution, and will lead to the downfall of the Islamic regime. And I will celebrate. I will join the Iranians in celebrating. I will go on a tour of celebrations and join all the wonderful Iranians to celebrate their victory over these bastards. Regime media reported that over the past 2 days, security forces raided and destroyed dozens of alleged armed riot cells, which is a complete lie. Police officials claimed hundreds of arrests in Tehran, while provincial authorities cited widespread detentions nationwide, vowing to pursue protesters to the last person. Tehran's prosecutor announced that cases accused of muharebe, punishable by death, which means like rebellion, are being fast-tracked with indictments already issued or imminent. This is also a very urgent thing, which is also why I hope America and Israel, I genuinely hope they actually step in and do something to stop these bastards. So muharebe is rebellion, which is punishable by death or armed rebellion. They accuse Iranian protesters who are organizing and who are protesting of being engaged in an armed rebellion against the government, against the state, and then also thereby indirectly or actually directly against Islam and against Allah, and thereby implement the punishments for armed rebellion in the Quran, which is to hang them and put them to death. Iran fast tracks people who are significant in these protests, indicts them, and hangs them a few days later on cranes in public. I have images of that. I don't want to show them right now. The regime's foreign minister told Al Jazeera that Iran would not abandon justice for people killed by foreign agents, implicitly framing January 8th, the first day of the Crown Prince's call to protest, as day 13 of a US-Israel war against Iran. Yeah, they also desperately describe the... So here is the funny thing. Look, here is the very, very funny thing. We just went through that, right? I just showed the article. I just showed the research, which actually... which shows how many of the people of Iran support the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi as leader for them. 80% do not want the Islamic regime. When asked who they would vote for, as we can see here once again, when asked who they would vote for, if you could vote for anyone, 40%, 39.5% said they would vote for Reza Pahlavi. This is what Iranians say. They would vote for the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi to lead them. So let's keep it in mind. 80% of the population is against the Islamic regime. 40% of the population wants Reza Pahlavi. Now look at what the Islamic regime says. The Islamic regime says that that justice for people killed by foreign agents will not be abandoned. They're referring to the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi as a foreign agent who is trying to instigate and kill people inside Iran. So this is a regime which 80% of the population is against inside Iran, referring to the most popular figure among Iranians as a foreign agent. Senior officials escalated rhetoric. The president's executive deputy branded the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi unpatriotic for appealing to Trump. Khomeini's grandson, without evidence, claimed protesters beheaded 4 people ISIS style. We're sure. I'm very, very sure that happened. So, at Trump's request, Elon Musk made Starlink subscriptions free in Iran. An estimated 50,000 Starlink terminals exist in the country, many previously offline due to cost. Meanwhile, state TV declared social media an enemy battlefield and said the internet will remain shut until security conditions normalize. So they shut down internet for everybody to kill people nicely and easily. These people are brave, man. These people are brave. They are very well aware of the numbers of people killed so far in these protests. They are very, very well aware that the Islamic regime is now simply ruthlessly killing people. They hear the shots. They hear the deaths. They see the dead bodies brought in body bags, and they are out here protesting. These people have courage like nothing I have seen. And you cannot stop these people. Victory will come soon. Very, very soon. I pray that it comes very, very, very soon. Of course, we have some pro-Islam and pro-Hamas terrorists like this idiot here who has been spamming the chat and who says Iran has a right of self-defense. Was that you who was just talking about how we are all a bunch of Jews and all that? Was it you or was it somebody else? I don't know. I can't fully remember. But if you actually think that you stand with Iran while referring to the Islamic regime, you should be aware of one thing. You're not standing with Iran. You're standing with the enemies of Iran. Because you're an idiot. An absolute idiot. I want to check out Goldie's appearance here, but I want to look at a few final things. Iran is identifying Starlink users, seizing terminals, and attempting to disrupt the service through signal jamming methods. They're going heavily armed to search people and to arrest them. Random people. To find equipment. Very, very dangerous internet equipment and to arrest them. Right. So as said, shout out once again to all these wonderful people to follow more Iranian voices. Armin Navabi, who is from Atheist Republic. I'm promoting him despite the fact that he's an atheist. Mahyar Tusi TV, fantastic voice. Goldie Gamari, right here on screen. You can follow her YouTube channel, Goldie Gamari. Elika Lebon, fantastic voice, fantastic speaker. Another person is Sana Ibrahimi. She was on my channel before as a guest. I just published a short video of hers the other day. She's a fantastic person to follow and to listen to. In fact, she just posted a video earlier today. No, she just reposted Elika. Gonna check these out in a second, and then oh, this is interesting. Directly addressing the whole Israel and Iran thing.
I've seen people asking, why is there an Israeli flag in every Iranian diaspora protest against the regime? Let me tell you why. Because Israelis have been standing with Iranian since the beginning, because they know the evil of terrorist Islamic regime, and they've been standing with us in solidarity, and we stood with them in solidarity when they were attacked. That's why you see Israeli flags. Iranians and Israelis are going to be great friends in the future of Iran. Co-partner.
Iran and Israel were actually allies. It were on a very good path of cooperation and collaboration before the Islamic Revolution happened. The Islamic Revolution directly turned Iran into an enemy of both Israel and the United States of America, cut ties with Israel entirely, and declared Israel a major enemy. And so the majority of Iranian protesters and monarchists and all that look at Israel quite favorably and want to restore good relations with Israel, and do not align themselves with the typical Arab-minded and Islamic-minded Middle Eastern mindset that is so hostile to Israel. So that's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful stuff. Let me get ready to. Dude, this guy's here. I didn't even recognize him on the screen.
Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, the Iranian-born former Canadian MP.
All right, let me get ready to look at this. Meanwhile, check out a few super chats here. I know this today. I didn't bother that David Seguera is also live at the same time, but let me see what David Seguera is doing right now as we speak. David Seguera is live as well. So David Seguera is talking about a very important matter concerning us directly. He's talking about the death threats that he and I and others have been receiving from Muslims this whole time. I am talking currently about Iranians being killed, both very important things to my heart. Because I also, for those who don't know, I also happen to care about people wanting to kill me, although it might not seem that important. But yeah, I'm currently too busy with the Iran stuff to care about people killing me. Mike Rochwinger said you're streaming at the same time as David Wood. Did you receive 7,000 from the Wingerlings? Yes, I did. Zachary T. Cawley, one of my uncles is Iranian. Long live Pahlavi. Long live Pahlavi instead. Javed Shah. Thank you for supporting the Iranian people and for all your support for Israel and Jews worldwide. Am Israel Chai, Am Iran Chai. Thank you. Kemal Oz says the Kurds are being massacred by al-Julani's jihadist forces under the command and control of Erdogan. The Kurds are the only Muslim group in the Middle East that treat Christians and minorities as equals. They also are guarding massive ISIS prison camps. I mean, Syria is a mess, you know. All the best. Shadowless Rex became a YouTube member. Thank you very much and welcome. Ida Rogozin, what's up, Ida? Good to see you here. Maga2508HH, die Kataris lassen nicht. Gruß aus New York, mein Lieber. Shalom. Why are you sending a super chat in German? Ended with a Jewish Hebrew greeting, but also are from New York. This is very multicultural. I appreciate it, actually. Greetings to you. Yo-Yo Hana, when Iranians said it was 2,000 murdered, they said it was less than 100. Now, when Iranians say it's 12,000, they say it's just 2,000. Yeah, that's what. But think about it. Even the Islamic regime at the moment admits that they have that between 2,000 and 3,000 people have died in the protests. So there are those who want to doubt the figures, right? And those who say, no, thousands dead. Of course not. This is all just propaganda. Even the Islamic regime, the terrorist Islamic regime that is ruling over Iran, admits at the moment that over 2,000 or 3,000 people have been killed in these protests. And they have always been lying. They have always been understating, always been hiding the numbers. We have legitimate sources telling us at the moment that over 12,000, possibly 20,000 people have been killed. And that is probably true. CBS News has said that they have confirmed reports that over 12,000 have been killed so far. PC, free Iran indeed. Johanna says, let's remember Erfan Sultani. Let us indeed. How is the situation going right now? Iranian protesters sentenced to death, allowed only 10 minutes to say goodbye to family. Iran set to hang protesters. Has he been executed already? Is he being executed? So let's look at the story here, actually. That's a good thing you brought it up. So Erfan Sultani is one of the people who have been arrested and sentenced to death by the Islamic regime. He's supposed to be executed on Wednesday. So people are sharing his pictures and everything everywhere. But this is him. So the young Iranian protester who is allegedly set to be executed on Wednesday for taking part in anti-government demonstrations against the Islamic Republic was given only 10 minutes to say goodbye to his family, according to a haunting new report. Erfan Sultani, who is 26 years old, was given just a brief moment to see his family after being arrested during a protest. Who is believed to be the first of the detained protesters scheduled for death. When is he being... When is his execution supposed to be done? Allegedly. Locked and threatened. So, to my knowledge, he's supposed to be executed. Oh, yeah, here. Irfan Sultani, 26, has been allegedly sentenced to death, with his family saying his execution has been scheduled for Wednesday, which is today, in Iran. They're shooting people in the streets. They're sentencing others to death, to be hanged on cranes. They're shutting down the internet and phones and killing people in the dark. This is what the Islamic regime does to Iranians, to the brave people of Iran. Idaro goes, and hey, missed you. Good to see you. Did you see Goldie Gamari on Piers Morgan Uncensored? She rocked. I'll check it out in a second. Here it is. Kemal Oz, Tucker Carlson pushed JD Vance as a vice president for a reason. Tucker is a traitor. Every minute spent idle by Trump is a life lost. Own up to your promise, Trump. These people are fighting just like in our war early in our nation. This is true. Iranians are fighting for their freedom, for a free country, for Iran. And they need our help. They need everybody's help right now. They are facing a ruthless enemy that doesn't care about human rights or anything. AP, we're watching you on Goldie and Armin stream. Can you join the Goldie Armin show tomorrow? I shall. I was supposed to join Goldie on her live stream on Sunday, I believe, and or yesterday, I don't remember. Then I messed it up because I joined David's live stream, which was all about us getting death threats and all that, and I got really distracted. So I kind of messed that up, but I'm happy to join her on a live stream tomorrow. I will do that. Unicorn AP, we're watching you over on Atheist Republic in Goldie's live stream. Much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. Shout out to Goldie and to Atheist Republic. Mad Taxpayer became a YouTube member. Welcome to the club. Normal Man, did you see Goldie call out the Iranian regime rat on Piers Morgan? The roach cowered in the face of an Iranian calling out its lies. I shall see it. I'm very, very curious to see it. Ari Wasserman, love you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you, Ari. Good to see you here again. Young Kusti, great. I love you, AP, David Wood, and Mike Winger. We all love Mike Winger. Ligament I was just watching Armin Navabi and Goldie Gamari. I just wanted to say, as an Israeli, it is so funny. It makes me so happy to see how Iranians and others have caught on to what filth Haaretz is. Haaretz is filth. It's worse than CNN in America. Unicorn, I mod for Atheist Republic and put your channel link for people to subscribe. They are loving you over there, AP. Thank you as always. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that, and much love to Atheist Republic. Jetboy, God bless you, AP. Please pray for me. I am a catechumen with rare kidney cancer. I pray for you and wish you all the best. I hope all goes well. I pray for your health. All the best. Israel Bethel, please watch Goldie on Piers Morgan. Thank you. Everybody wants me to watch Goldie, and I am going to. They even said Israel was behind 9/11 attack. Of course they would. Ashur Chamonix, I will watch the video after this one. Iranian here pleases. Iranian here please be our voice. We are getting laughter just because we ask for freedom. Just because we ask for freedom. Yeah. I'm doing my best to highlight Iran's struggle at the moment, and also personally pushing. I know there's this whole attitude right now of like, no, we don't want to interfere in other countries. We don't want to be interventionist and all that. I would say, screw that. I get it. But the world is not a place of isolated people. Sometimes interventionism is good. If I have the means to interfere and protect good people and help them in their fight against evil tyrants, I will happily do that. And if I think of countries as people, I would say that America should interfere and help the people of Iran and directly go in, not necessarily send in, soldiers on the ground, but send in jets and in some ways bomb and weaken the military facilities and other facilities of the Islamic regime to help Iranians fight against this evil that they're standing against. That is good morality. I do not think that isolationism and staying out of people's troubles is good morality. I think it's a good thing to help. those who are oppressed, and Iranians are oppressed by a brutal, vicious enemy. All right. Let's go.
MP Goldie Gamari, the journalist and host of the Chuck Todd cast, Chuck Todd, and the former US Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill. So a powerful panel to launch our first show back this year.
Hey, wait a minute, man. I skipped the introduction of Chunk Yogurt.
The CEO of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, the Iranian-born former
Chunk Yogurt.
Canadian MP Goldie Gamari, the journalist and host of the Chuck Todd cast, Chuck Todd, and the former US Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill. So a powerful panel to launch our first show back this year. Cenk Uygur, Happy New Year, first of all. Let's get the pleasantries out of the way. I suspect things are about to turn unpleasant very quickly, so let's be civil to start. Cenk, I thought it was a good time to have a vacation, if I'm completely honest with you. Turned out to be one of the worst times to ever have a week off in history, where basically all hell broke loose everywhere. And as we try and wrestle with this, let's talk primarily, for the purposes of this debate, about Iran first. What do you feel about what's happening there? It does seem significant to me that the German chancellor is now coming out saying this is the beginning of the end of the regime and it could happen in weeks. Is that your sense, that this, despite a number of repressed attempts at overthrowing this regime that have failed, that this time we might be seeing the hand of history?
Yeah. So first of all, Happy New Year back to you and to everybody on the panel. So Piers, in this case, the most important thing to recognize is that there are two separate issues going on here. One is the Iranian people's battle with the regime. And there we support the Iranian people 100%. I would love for Iran to be a democracy.
Listen how he says he supports the Iranian people 100%, just to then introduce conditions and caveats, and then directly contradicts his claim of supporting them 100%.
Control its own country and be a beacon for freedom in the Middle East. Well, that would be amazing. I would hope that everybody would want that. But there's a second issue also going on at the same time, which is that Israel wants regime change in Iran. They've wanted it for 20 years. They've agitated it for this entire time, including through the representatives of Israel like Mike Huckabee. He's not our ambassador, he's the Israeli ambassador. And we know that now because he had a secret meeting with Jonathan Pollard, who's a traitor to America. So he meets with traitors secretly, by the way, behind Trump's back, behind the American people's back. Everything he just said to you.
So what was the question? The question was, it's a crucial moment, and leaders of countries and all that are saying that right now, we're coming to the end of the Islamic regime. The Iranian people might actually do it this time, and the revolution might be inevitable. What do you think about this? His response to that is, of course, we 100% support the Iranian people in their struggle. However, Israel
Was propaganda.
There's nothing going on in this guy's head, man. There's literally nothing happening in this guy's head.
For Israel. They've wanted this regime change forever. And now here's how you could tell that.
Well, that
I'm
doesn't
right.
mean he's wrong.
They will not.
Cenk, it doesn't mean he's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it might well suit. It might well
that's
suit.
right.
Well, hang on. It might well suit Israel's interests, but that doesn't mean it doesn't also suit America's interests, or indeed the rest of the world's interests.
Right. So, Piers, then we get to the issue of, yes, but what is America doing and what should America do? So if you want to accomplish the thing that we all want, which is Iran to be free, the worst possible thing you could do is bomb them. Because if you bomb them, like all countries, they will rally around the flag. If you think they're...
You know what I hate the most about the Piers Morgan show, which is that they can never stick to the topic. Like, it's like he asks a question, the responder then deviates from the question into something completely different and irrelevant, and Piers Morgan doesn't even notice it and helps together move the topic to something else. Normally, there's a panel here, and the host should be asking everybody's opinion on a certain question that he has at the moment. Everybody should be able to get in their opinion on this topic, on this question that he has. But Piers Morgan, the host himself, can never keep track of the actual topic that the panelists are supposed to answer. He allows immediately for some dummy to sidetrack and to change the topic, and then he changes. He lets the guest change the topic for him, so the other panelists never get to actually answer the question. It's such a stupid show, man.
There's no one who supports the regime in Iran. You're also wrong about that. I think they're a minority, but they're the minority with the guns, etc. And so at this point, the idea that, oh, don't worry, we'll just bomb the Iranians, we'll kill a whole bunch of their civilians, and then we'll be greeted as liberators. You know, Mike Huckabee talked about 2 kicks of the mule, but except he got the wrong
Who said bomb Iranians, man?
mule. So we got
You know who is killing Iranians right now? The Islamic regime. What a retard.
kicked in Iraq in the same exact way. Neocons like Mike Huckabee coming out there and going, oh, this is going to be easy. We're going to liberate the Iraqis, and the Iraqis are going to love us for it, etc. I don't need to get kicked by that mule twice. I guarantee you this will end in disaster if Israel forces us to get involved. If you care about the Iranian people, we should not bomb them. It will be greatly counterproductive. And I guarantee you that both Israel and America does not want democracy in Iran. What they want instead is a puppet leader. So they will bring in the former Shah, a king, a dictator who will do everything that Israel wants. And then the Iranian people will revolt against him. And then we'll go through the cycle again and again and again.
Wait. Hang on.
Again, this is literally how we got people were dictator who leader. So they does not want democracy in Iran. What they want instead is a puppet leader. So they will bring in the former Shah, a king, a dictator who will do everything that Israel wants.
Now, I'm sure many people haven't caught this. He says America and Israel don't want a democratic, a democracy there. They want to bring in a what? Let's hear it again.
Shah in Iran. What they want instead is a puppet leader. So they will bring in
They want a puppet leader, so they will bring in
the former Shah, a king, a dictator.
They will bring in the former Shah, a king, a dictator. So here is Reza Pahlavi. Just Google it. This is Reza Pahlavi, whom people want. He is the crown prince. He is the member and the crown prince of the Pahlavi dynasty, who is the preferred leader among Iranians. Iranians want to be led by this guy. They want this guy to come in and to take over and to transition the government into whatever they want. You know what this guy is not? This guy is not the former Shah. This guy never was the Shah. He's the son of the former Shah. The former Shah, as you can see here, is this guy, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who died in 1980. Reza Pahlavi, who would be brought in to Iran, whom Iranians want as their leader, is not the former Shah. He's not a former king. He's not a former dictator. I mean, I can't believe how ridiculously stupid this is. This is so dumb, even for Cenk Uygur.
Who will leader? So they will bring in the former Shah, a king, a dictator who will do.
How would they bring in the former Shah? The former Shah is dead, you absolute imbecile. Gosh. This guy is so retarded, man.
Everything that Israel wants, and then the Iranian people will revolt against him, and then we'll go through this cycle again and again and again. This is literally how we got to the Ayatollah, by us imposing a Shah upon them. So that is a disastrous idea.
That's not what happened, you dumbass.
Do not go into the
And ask the people what they want. They want the Shah. So the big issue that that people have with American intervention in countries like Afghanistan and Iraq, for example, was that America went there, helped them overthrow something. Not in the case of Afghanistan, actually, but in the case of Iraq. America went there and helped overthrow Saddam Hussein, who was an absolute evil bastard tyrant. But then America stayed there and basically forced Iraq to figure out some democratic system. The people didn't really want that. In Afghanistan, America went and interfered and forced the people to adopt some democratic system, which Afghans did not want. I think that is a mistake every single time. You can't go to different cultures, to the Middle East and here and there, and simply adopt your idea of government and your democracy onto people if they do not want it. Which is why I would be against any kind of nation building or similar nonsense in Iran. I would never be for America going in there and taking over and then imposing our values onto Iran. That should never, ever happen. What America can do is to help take out military targets and facilities of the Islamic regime and then leave it up to the Iranians themselves to decide what they want to do. And guess what? The most popular option that Iranians themselves offer is to be guided and led by the son of the former Shah, by Reza Pahlavi, by the crown prince, who himself does not say, I will be the king. He himself says, I am happy to listen to the people and transition to whatever the people want. It could be a constitutional monarchy. It could be a complete democracy. It could be anything, whatever the people want. But they want Reza Pahlavi as their leader. That's it.
This war, anti-war means anti-war. War is not peace. George Orwell was a genius.
Okay.
This is actually a very stupid 21st century idea and 20th century idea that that all war is bad. I mean, the Romans had a very good saying, which was, if you want peace, prepare for war. I was trying to be fancy and remember the Latin, but I can't remember it now. If you want peace, prepare for war. Si vis pacem para bellum. So it is a very, very good phrase, to actually point out the realities of the world, which are, you can't just be a complete pacifist and lay down your arms and be like, hey guys, I don't want war. War bad. War always bad. Let's never do war. No. You have to fight wars. You have to arm yourself. You have to be strong as a nation if you want to live in peace. And sometimes to restore peace or to achieve peace, you have to fight. You have to fight. Fighting is not always bad. War is not always bad. War bad is a bullshit mentality that has been developed over the last century. It's a complete bullshit mentality. War bad is not an absolute truth.
Goldie Gamari, you were pulling a number of faces there, none of which I would describe as particularly indicating an agreement with what Cenk was saying. So what would you like to say?
I mean, first of all, Cenk is not Iranian, so he has no idea what's going on in occupied Iran. Pretty sure Cenk doesn't speak Persian either, so he probably has no idea what the tens of millions. No, actually, it's Persian. Persian is the English word for Farsi. So don't correct me when I'm speaking and don't interrupt me. I let you speak.
Dude. She's hardcore, man. What a freaking idiot. What a stupid freaking idiot. What an absolute imbecile this guy is.
Your garbage jihadi Islamist propaganda.
You know your native language.
You
though,
do
if
not.
you're
You do
pretending to be
not
an
get to
expert.
talk over me. You do not get to talk over me or interrupt me when I'm speaking on behalf of 90 million Iranians who are out in the streets right now fighting for their lives.
You're not
And
speaking on behalf of all
You
Iranians.
speak. Yes, I am. You speak about how the bombings
When
or
did
whatever.
they elect you?
Why are you speaking over me? Why are you speaking over me? Are you threatened by what I'm about to say? Is that why you want to interrupt me? I suggest
Because he's chunk yogurt, he has to say something about Israel and Trump any moment. He can't help it.
you keep your
No,
mouth shut
because you're pretending to
until I'm done
represent people
speaking.
that never elected you.
Well, let
but
her
go ahead.
speak. Cenk, with all respect, she'll let you speak. Let her respond.
Yeah, I let you speak your garbage propaganda, so now it's my turn to speak the truth. So do not interrupt me again.
Your
So
garbage.
like I was
Go.
saying,
Dude, he can't keep his mouth shut, man. This guy's worse than me. So.
truth. So do not interrupt me again.
Your
So
garbage.
like I was
Go.
saying, Pierce, Iranians right now are literally risking their lives out there, and they are saying this is the final battle. Pahlavi will return. Pahlavi is, of course, the current Shah of Iran in exile. And what people don't know is that back in 1979, that it's not actually a revolution. It was an Islamic coup d'etat. It was orchestrated by Jimmy Carter, or sorry, actually, no, it was orchestrated by the Islamists and the communists, and it was funded and supported by Jimmy Carter, the UK, and France. So what is happening right now? This is Iranians trying to rectify, and they are rectifying 47-year mistake that was made. And what Iranians are saying is that we are going out and we are not going to stop fighting until we not only overthrow the Islamic dictatorship, but we return our king, because there is only one person that we Iranians trust to transition us from a dictatorship to a democracy.
Hey, wait a minute. That's cool. They posted a video which they directly took from Visegrad 24. Shout out to my boys at Visegrad 24. They're doing an amazing job.
Our king, because there is only one person that we Iranians trust to transition us from a dictatorship to a democracy, and that is His Royal Highness. And one final point, Iran was not an authoritarian dictatorship prior to 1979. We were a constitutional monarchy, just like England. That is what we are fighting for. So anyone who says that Iran was an authoritarian dictatorship, they know nothing about the country, because we used to be a constitutional monarchy.
Today's show is sponsored by
Beth, I don't care who you were sponsored by. But Goldie is fantastic. Thank you for that. Thank you for that speech. Sorry, I mean woman.
Chuck Todd. Welcome back to Uncensored. Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
There's a lot going on, Chuck. Someone said to me, wow, what a week to not be on air. And I was like, the thing about Donald Trump is there's always another week and another week.
Correct.
And another week. So there's never a good week to have off in Trump land. There's an awful lot going on. You know, it's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day. If you take away Trump's rhetoric, which can often be very inflammatory, and you focus on what I think is his vision here, a lot of what he's doing, whether it's Greenland, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's...
So there is one thing that I have to say. There is a lot of talk sometimes about the previous government in Iran, and it wouldn't be entirely inaccurate to say that, or it wouldn't be entirely accurate to say that nobody had problems with the Iranian monarchy when it was there, and when the former Shah was actually ruling in Iran. It was a constitutional monarchy. The people had a choice, a voice. It had a parliament ruled over by the king. People were loyal to the king. The country was loyal to the king, to the Shah. It had its politicians, which were all active. People could participate in elections. However, the Islamic Revolution in 1979 did not just happen with a bunch of people overruling people's, lack of desire for a change and imposing an Islamic government over people. The Islamic Revolution weaponized certain talking points and certain sentiments that people had in pre-Islamic Iran. They did use a lot of propaganda inside Iran, especially the communists and the Islamists, to say that that the king is a puppet, that the king doesn't want your freedom. He doesn't want you to have rights. He doesn't want you to have proper voting rights. The king is the system is being heavily restricted. Your votes do not count. There is so much corruption going on. They do not allow you to vote. They don't count your votes properly and all that. And to some extent, some people would argue that those accusations were not entirely unfounded. And please don't be offended and angry at me, dear Iranians. I'm not saying what you think I'm saying. There were under the constitutional monarchy, there were certain processes during the elections where there was heavy monitoring going on, because the Shah had great concerns. He had great concerns that there are major elements within the country of Iran who want to overthrow the government and impose an Islamic communist system, which is why he used a secret police force to monitor people and monitor organizations and do certain crackdowns and monitor elections and such as well. Here is the issue. It turns out that he wasn't really wrong, right? Because what the Shah was saying was that that there is a green-red alliance, an alliance of the Islamists and the communists or socialists who are enemies of the country and who want to overthrow this this government and who want to impose their own Islamic communist ideals on everyone. Guess what? That's what actually happened. During the Islamic Revolution, the communists, socialists, and the Islamists together toppled the government and took over the country. And exactly as the king predicted, they started oppressing the people brutally. Brutally. So the Shah and his forces had actually every right to be a little bit paranoid about these. Sorry, yeah, it was black and red. It was he called it black and red, not green and red. The Shah called it black and red, not green and red. As soon as I said it, I thought, wait a minute, that's not what he said. We call it green and red today, referring to Islam and socialism. What he called it was black and red. Black also referring to Islamists. As soon as they took over, they started oppressing the people. And now the people want to go back and get rid of this Islamic revolution once and for all. So, that's that.
It's Iran. I can understand the argument. You know, I may not like the way he expresses himself with some of this. I understand the argument. What do you think is the overview here for Donald Trump?
Well, I think this is a case of opportunism, right? Look, I was just in the region. I was in Abu Dhabi about a month ago, which obviously is a home to quite a large Iranian diaspora. And this is before these protests got the attention. And I came away from there in my discussions and meetings with various Iranian journalists and experts. The optimism that the regime is going to fall was high then. And I had another colleague who went in country over the last 6 months. And look, there's not drinking water in Tehran, right? Like this, what you're seeing, the level of desperation with the people, I think, is at a level that we haven't been able to fully understand as outsiders because of the media repression and how little we actually are seeing what's happening in country. But when you talk to Iranians that have either been in country or are communicating, you know, you do get this sense. So this is coming. And I think this is a question, what does Donald Trump want to do? This is a bit of opportunism. I don't think he wants to get involved. Like I think pre-protests, he was probably willing to negotiate with the regime in some form or another. Now,
any attempt to negotiate with the Iranian regime is a mistake. You are simply killing people if you do that. Hang on, I want to check this out here for a second.
To all Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions if possible, and save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. You're being very badly abused. If the numbers are right now, I hear 5 different sets of numbers. I hear numbers, look, 1 death is too much, but I hear much lower numbers and then I hear much higher numbers. But I say save their names because they'll pay a very big price. And I've canceled all meetings with the Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. And all I say to them is help is on its way. You saw that I put tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran. Just went into effect today. And I say make Iran great again. You know, it was a great country until these monsters came in and took it over.
Tariffs are not enough. Tariffs are not enough. Not enough.
I think he sees where the wind is blowing.
That's all very cool, but I want to hear more of Goldie and Chunk or that other guy. Now let's hear what this guy is saying.
The Iranian people know that we will support them. The biggest problem that we had, One of the major problems that we had in Iraq, the biggest problem being we went into Iraq, was we immediately disbanded the Ba'ath Party. And although they looked bad because they were doing what Saddam Hussein wanted, they're doing that because they want to keep their heads on their own shoulders. They're going to do what they need to do to survive and keep their family alive. We got rid of them, and then foreign fighters came in, and obviously we know the Civil War started. It was chaos for a long, long time. Right now, what's happening there, if the Iranians know that we're going to help, but then our media backs out and they're not sure about us, who knows what they're going to do? But I do know that foreign fighters are now going into Iran to try to help, be that the Mahdi army, who the Shias, or is it Hezbollah, even Hamas. I mean, they were getting funding through the Iranians, but I believe they're Sunni, and I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But I think the bottom line, and this is me just trying to be an honest broker, I think we should do as allies everything we can to support the Iranian people and help them get what they want. This is not Robo.
That's good. That's good enough. Good enough. Now let me hear the exchange between these guys here.
Incredible result. Scan the rock and Mohammed Morandi, professor now to someone who's been on Uncensored a few times. Mohammed Morandi, professor at Tehran University, a supporter of the regime. Welcome back to Uncensored.
This guy should never be on Piers Morgan or anywhere for that matter, for anything.
Uncensored, Mohammed Morandi, I appreciate you coming on. What is your assessment of what is happening on the ground in Iran?
Well, first of all, when you say a supporter of the regime, you're framing it in a certain way. I assume you are a supporter of the British or the American regime. But it's obvious what happened. We had currency manipulation last week. The currency fell 30-40%. It was carried out by the United States, forcing neighboring countries not to cooperate with Iranians over the currency. Then we had peaceful protests among business people. And there were a few thousand people in 2-3 different cities. There was no violence. There were no arrests. Nothing happened. Then the next day, we had more protests, roughly the same size, I guess. I don't remember exactly. Then we had infiltration, and we had violent rioters. And that was the beginning of extreme violence, which peaked on Thursday night. And we know that Pompeo, the former head of the CIA, said that Mossad is on the ground with the rioters. We have Mossad in a Persian statement. They said that they are on the ground. And the most interesting thing of all is that late on Thursday night, during the height of the riots,
if Mossad is actually on the ground helping the Iranians, then I'm very, very happy about that. Very happy about that. But you see what they're doing, and I would say that might be a mistake to actually point it out. But you see what the Islamic regime is doing. They simply depict everybody who's participating in these protests as Mossad, using this as an excuse and killing Iranians in the thousands, in the tens of thousands, and calling everybody Mossad. You have to be a complete lunatic to believe that all the people protesting in Iran and walking out there against this regime are actually Israeli Mossad agents.
And roughly 100 officers of the law were murdered. A couple of them burnt alive, beheaded, head smashed. We had a nurse who was burned alive in a clinic. The clinic was burnt down. We had many buses, ambulances, and fire engines destroyed, tens of each. I'm not sure about ambulances, but I know tens of fire engines and public buses and private property. But the point is that late on Thursday night or early in the morning, they cut off the internet and suddenly everything died down. The reason? Because all these groups.
No, it didn't. We have had access to protests, to images within Iran this entire time. It did not die down, not for a second. We have images from today of people protesting in masses, thousands, walking through the streets of Tehran and other places, protesting and shouting for the death of the Islamic regime, for the end of the Islamic regime. This is what these guys always do. They, the pro-Islamic regime, they always want to depict this as, oh, just, nothing was really happening. Everybody was completely happy, man. Everybody was completely happy. And then, of course, the infiltrators, the Jews, and the others, they just, riled things up and all that. That's why things happened. That's why things went wrong, I'm sorry, according to every single statistic that we have, the vast majority of this country does not want this disgusting, filthy, evil Islamic regime. The vast majority of this country wants to get rid of this Islamic regime. The vast majority of this country doesn't even vote in the elections anymore because they don't believe that there's any point in voting in these elections. The vast majority of Iranians hate your guts. And I hope they bring you to your ends, dear Islamic regime. And I hope they hold every single person from Khamenei and his IRGC and his puppets accountable for every single crime they have committed. In such a way in which revolutions generally hold their oppressors accountable, if you know what I mean.
These small groups, violent groups that were spread out in different cities and different parts of big cities, they could no longer communicate with their bosses abroad. So if it was really spontaneous, the riots would have continued. But now we've had 4 days of quiet. And yesterday, we had massive anti-riot protests across the country. And I asked your producer to show footage of the protests in Tehran against the rioters. And this is from the middle of the footage. This is Engelab Square. It goes from Imam Hussein Square to Azadi Square, from Engelab Square south to Imam Khomeini Square. That is millions of people. That is.
So we have already seen the statistics. 80% of people are against the Islamic regime. Even more people than there are supporters of the Islamic regime. 2.5 times more people than there are supporters for the Islamic regime want Reza Pahlavi to come in and take over. And this guy wants to impress us with these fake pro-Islamic regime rallies.
It's huge. Anyone can look on the map or use DeepSeek or some other AI app and check what sort of distance this is. This is a helicopter. But just a few hours ago.
Just to stop you there, Professor O'May, just to be clear, that's footage you've supplied. We've been unable to independently verify it. So it is what it is. Clearly, there are people, it seems from all the independent reports I've read, who are... Okay, so Goldie, for example, one of our panelists is saying that footage is from 2020. So we don't know what you're showing us there. You accept that?
No, that's a dishonest take. That footage is very clear. This misinformation is being produced by the West, and the reporter who was on that helicopter, whose face is there, he came on television, showed the footage. I was at the protest. There were millions of people. What you are trying to do, just like you did during the Israeli regime's attack on Iran, is you are trying to help war. Because when the Israeli regime carried out that blitzkrieg attack, as we were negotiating with them, you invited me and started bad-mouthing Iran. Why? Because you and many others like you.
I didn't bad-mouth Iran. Sorry, just to be clear.
Oh, yes, you did.
Just to be clear. Hang on. Professor, just to be clear, I never bad-mouthed Iran. I bad-mouthed the Iranian regime, which I think is one of the most malevolent regimes in the world. That's not bad-mouthing the country of Iran or the Iranian people. Now, I want to bring in Goldie Gamari because she wants to directly challenge. She wants to directly challenge what you have said.
One-on-one.
Yes,
you said
that's
it's
fine.
A one-on-one.
That's fine.
Your producer.
But you've accused her.
You do not allow.
Look how scared he is, man. Look how scared he is to actually be challenged by an Iranian woman. Look how terrified he is to be challenged by an Iranian woman. He is shitting his pants because Piers Morgan wants to bring in an Iranian woman. who calmly comes in with a smile on her face. Look how terrified he is. Look how terrified he is, man.
Allow me to
Fine,
continue.
but you have
Your producer said.
You have
Your
given-
producer said
Yes.
it's a one-on-one between you and me.
yes.
You're escaping
But you
the
have-
debate.
Hang on, hang on, hang
You're
on,
escaping
Goldie.
the
Hang
debate.
on, Goldie. Hang on, please. Don't all talk at once. Professor
This is a
Morandi.
one-on-one
Professor
debate
Morandi.
between you and me.
Professor Morandi. Let me.
Can somebody tell me what she's saying in Persian here, in Farsi? She's probably taking this opportunity. What is she saying in I mean, I could just ask her, I guess.
Goldie, please let me handle this. Professor Morandi, here's why I brought Goldie back into the conversation with
No,
you.
so you're being dishonest.
Because
So
she
you
has
lied.
said, she says to us, have you watched that footage? It is actually not what you have said it is. Goldie, tell the professor.
She said that when they win, the biggest part left of him will be his pinky finger. She's telling him his fingertip will be the largest part of him left when they get their hands on him. Damn. Damn. I completely sympathize with her position because this guy is the mouthpiece of these murderers.
So what you believe that footage is?
That footage is from Qasem Soleimani's funeral in 2020. That is not footage from today. That is 100% propaganda. The Islamic regime, they are liars. They are murderers. They are thieves. I don't even know how he has access to the internet right now. The internet is shut off. The internet is shut off. Where is he communicating from? Where is he
Okay,
communicating
now,
from if the
Pierce,
internet
I
is
just
shut
want
off?
to remind you, that your producer said this is a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And like on previous occasions,
I cannot talk to women, especially not to Iranian women. They are the worst. They are the worst. Whenever I talk to an Iranian woman, I have very, very bad feelings. I get very nervous. And when they catch me talk to a woman, especially if they catch me talk to an Iranian woman, what will my masters do to me? You were very, very clear that this was supposed to be a one-on-one between you and me, so I could hear your beautiful voice and we could talk to each other. I did not agree to talk to an Iranian woman. They're very scary.
you do not abide by what you say you'll do.
Well,
But
you made a
just to
statement.
respond-
You made
but
a
just to
statement and gave us
respond-
footage, which
but
one of our
just to
panelists has
respond-
directly challenged.
But just to respond, in the General Qasem Soleimani's funeral, the bodies were on trucks, and there are no trucks in this crowd. And the crowd goes from Imam Hussein Square, which is to the top, towards the top. The crowd here goes all the way to Imam Hussein Square. The bodies never went there. The bodies the funeral procession began at the University of Tehran. So the path of the General Soleimani funeral and his companions was not towards Imam Hussein. And here, where are the trucks? Where's the funeral procession? Because it was not just him. There were a number of people who were murdered. Don't
If the people of Iran were actually so much supporting the Islamic regime, does anybody think that the Islamic regime would actually feel the need to shut down the internet connection and phone calls for everybody within the country? So, my God, this is almost like it's from a movie, right? About a tyrannical regime that relies fully on propaganda and lies while killing its people. They shut down the internet and phones for everybody, and then they publish a fake video in which they show everybody actually supporting the government. Meanwhile, they kill over 12,000 people. Please, Iranians, rise up, finish these bastards once and for all. Please, America, help them and let them do whatever they want to do to the Islamic regime. And all its agents.
No one can pretend that the rallies yesterday, which took place across Iran, in Mashhad, in Tabriz,
All
in
been
Maran,
debunked. All been
in
debunked.
Esfahan.
The rally, the footage rally, all been debunked.
This Pierce, if you next, I won't come again on your show because every time you're dishonest.
You won't be able to come again on the show because when Iran is free, we're going to get
and
you.
you
You're going to go
bring
to jail.
No. To be fair, let me explain. Goldie, let me explain.
People on your hands right now.
Goldie, I will come back to Goldie and the panel in a moment. I'll go back to one-on-one. I will go back to one, Professor. I will go back to one-on-one with you now. She wanted to directly challenge that footage. She's done so. You have responded. That is perfectly legitimate journalism from where I'm sitting.
No, that's not acceptable, Pierce. In any case,
That's not acceptable because she's a woman and I'm a man and I am for the Islamic Republic and she's a woman and she's an Iranian woman. So how can an Iranian woman actually speak to me when I am a supporter of the Islamic Republic? She's an Iranian woman. They're evil. Okay, shut the fuck up. So let's see. Let's go back to the panel. Anything else?
I had to mute that guy. I can always tell when I'm listening to someone.
There's work.
Fine.
And
Not just the state of Israel.
Yeah. Goldie, let me bring you in here. You were born in Iran. Do you feel this is different to previous uprisings?
Yes, absolutely. This is different. This time around, the stars have aligned, Pierce. So this isn't the first time that we have tried to overthrow the Islamic dictatorship. We've been trying for the last 47 years, in fact. But this time, we have a leader. We have His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi, who has he's heeded the call of the Iranian people. He is going to be stepping in as a transitional leader. He's going to be taking our country from a
Look at this dumbass, man.
brutal Islamic dictatorship into a functioning secular democracy. Now, what type of democracy that's going to be? That's going to be based on a national referendum that the Iranian people
She said it's going to be based.
It is totally based.
will vote for. So whether they want a constitutional monarchy or whether they want a republic, we Iranians are going to determine that. And that plan is actually available online. It's on a website called Iran Prosperity Project. It's been online for over 6 months. I can't think of any other revolution, in fact, where the transitional plan for the emergency government has already been published and peer-reviewed and is also available in English online. There are also a number of other factors here. So Elon Musk providing Starlink and Starlink devices, that is huge because that has allowed us to continue receiving messages from people in occupied Iran despite the mass slaughter. The other really important factor as well is that President Trump is now giving his support to the Iranian people. And we're not asking for boots on the ground, nothing like that. But when you look at President Ronald Reagan's support for the oppressed people is what led to the fall of the Berlin Wall, and there were no boots on the ground there. The propaganda that Cenk is putting out there, it's the other side of the
bomb the Soviet Union.
Can you please don't interrupt me? I did not interrupt you when you were spouting your garbage. So as I was saying, the propaganda that Cenk is putting out there, that's the other side of the coin of the Islamic dictatorship. So there, it's meant to put fear into Americans by saying, oh, well, let's go bomb Iran. Well, no one's going to go bomb Iran. Israel and the United States back in the 12-day war, they targeted Islamic regime bases. They never targeted civilians. And in the 12-day war, yes, there were civilian casualties. 200 Iranian civilians lost their lives in the 12-day war. But in the past 2 days alone, the Islamic dictatorship has slaughtered over 12,000 Iranians. And that's at a minimum right now for what we know. So what Iranians are saying is that they will fight until the very end because they know that at this point, it's either liberty or death. And so they are still going out, they are still fighting. And the one person that has mobilized us Iranians around the world to rise up and overthrow the Islamic dictatorship is His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi. So, you know, people like Cenk can complain and bark all they want, but ultimately their opinion is irrelevant. We Iranians, we've already decided what we want, and self-determination is our right.
Okay, I've got to leave it there for the
It is totally based.
panel.
What
Thank
are you
all.
talking about? Can I? No. Can I just say she keeps pretending to?
Okay, shut up. So, Goldie is very, very super based, and nobody wants to listen to a Cenk. He's only here for comedic purposes. So, there is another thing that I really like about Iran, which is the following fact. People will act like Iran is a fully Muslim country, and with Iran here, I will make an exception and say I support every single one of them, no matter what they believe in and what they do. But here is a survey from 2020, Iran's attitude toward religion. This survey was done in 2020. Iranians were asked about their religious beliefs, and I always find this very, 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 very interesting. So now let's actually get down to where that graph appears. It appears over here. So it says here, religious diversity. Respondents were asked about their religious beliefs and faith. Figure 2 shows that while approximately 1/3 identifies as Shiite Muslim, a significant percentage of the population identifies with atheism, Zoroastrianism, spirituality, Sunni Islam, Sufi mysticism, Christianity, and so on. 22% of the population said they belong to none, separate from atheism or agnosticism. So here is a survey where Iranians themselves were asked what religion they identify with or which is closer to their beliefs and their faith. As you can see, in a naturally, historically Shiite Muslim country, the largest is still Shiite, but it's only 32%. For example, if you look at the official numbers of the Islamic regime, they will tell you that that Iran is 99% Shia Muslim, which is complete nonsense. In fact, religious demographics according to Islamic Republic. If you search for it, so here you go. According to the official estimates from the Islamic Republic of Iran, Muslims make up 99.4% of the population, with 90 to 95% being Shia and 5 to 10% Sunni. This is what the Islamic regime tells you. This is what the Islamic regime tells people, tells its own people, and also tells the rest of the world. That 99.4% of the country are Muslims, whereas 90 to 95% are Shia and 5 to 10% are Sunni. In reality, when you ask the people themselves, 32.2% identify as Shia Muslim. 5% identify as Sunni Muslim. 3% identify as Sufi. And that's it. These are all the Muslims here. 22% identify with nothing. 8% or 8.8% identify as atheists. 7.7 Zoroastrian, 7.1 spiritual, 5.8 agnostic, 2.7 humanism, 1.5% Christian, Baha'i 0.5%, Jewish 0.1%, others 3.3%, and so on and so forth. So the idea that this is a fully Muslim country that is full of just all Shiite Muslims who just want their Islamic government is complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. Absolute complete nonsense. 60% of people say they do not observe their duty, their Islamic duty to pray, the prescribed prayers. 27% say they pray 5 times a day. 60% say they believe in God and are religious. 31% they believe in God but are not religious. Only a very tiny minority says they do not believe in God and are not religious either. So the majority also do not want the hijab, for example. The hijab should be mandatory in public. 72% disagree, 15% agree. This is not a country that is full of Islamists. This is not a country that is full of people who are loyal to the Islamic regime. It is a country that wants to change, that wants to get rid of the Islamic regime, that wants to be free. All right. Let me finally, one more time, check all my favorite Iranian people here. Let's see.
We don't want to see what's happening in Iran happen. And, you know, if they want to have protests, that's one thing. When they start killing thousands of people, and now you're telling me about hanging, we'll see how that works out for them.
We'll see how that works out for them. What is he going to do? What is he going to do? What is he going to do?
Onions.
Wait, Sana went on Fox News? Hey. She was on Fox News. That's very good. I'm very happy and proud to see that.
From the left, where are the liberal celebs speaking about Iran? Where are the protests on college campuses? They certainly had something to say about Minnesota. They have nothing to say about Iran. And we've seen this story before in Iran. In 1979, Islamic revolution led to the Shahs being overthrown and the current regime coming to power. You can see the footage right there. 20 years later, in 1999, student protests erupted in Tehran after a reformist newspaper was shut down. And then in 2009, a disputed presidential election triggered the Green Movement, with protests that saw dozens killed. 3 years ago, we saw hundreds killed in protests that erupted after the death of a woman in police custody who allegedly refused to wear a hijab. So over and over and over, it feels like it's gotten close. Killed. Have Iranians reached that tipping point? Joining me now is Iranian activist Sana Ibrahimi. Sana, thanks so much for being with us here today. Do you think it's different this time? Do you think it's reaching a critical tipping point in Iran?
Yes, I firmly believe, alongside many of Iranians inside and outside of Iran and observers, that this time is completely different because unlike other previous uprisings, this time people are rallying behind a unifying figure, Prince Reza Pahlavi. He put out a call. People said yes to his call. He has brought people together, and people have been chanting his name out on the streets and have been calling for the overthrow of the regime while fighting this evil, brutal regime empty-handed, fighting for their homeland, their liberty, and their freedom. So yes, I believe this time is completely different from what we've seen so far.
But
I hope so too. So Sana Ibrahimi is a wonderful voice. She was on my channel before. If you want to follow her, you can find her on X, on Twitter, and check out more of that. Fantastic to listen to. All right. Let me quickly have a final look at the updates on the news. Doctor describes patients riddled with bullets. People are being brutally murdered. We are waiting. What are we waiting for? In a few hours, the first person is to be executed by the Islamic regime in Iran. And I hope something happens to prevent that. Okay, I'll take some super chats here and then I will leave. Let's see. Chris Creative. Sorry, but everyone in the US is scared of Iran and have been for decades for some reason. We still owe them for 1983 Lebanon Marine Barracks incident. We do indeed. They killed Americans. Soldier of Christ, if Iranian government is to collapse and Islam dies in Iran, do you think it will have ripple effect across the region and help Islam to die out? I pray so. Anyway, Junior is absolutely retarded. It certainly will have an impact on Islam on a larger scale. Will it help the defeat of Islam in the region? Difficult to say, because the Islamic regime is a Shia government as opposed to most of the Islamic governments, which are Sunni governments. They would see it actually possibly as a good sign if the Shia regime falls. But still, it doesn't matter. They need to fall. Victor Rodriguez, Lord Jesus bless Iran and its people. Amen. Jetboy, God bless you, AP. Keep up good work. Good night. Chad Ryan, I wonder if they tell Trump they have USA hostages. Johanna, Queen Esther, and King Artaxerxes, all of Haman's archetypes will always fall. They should. Gemina Donati says, AP, my pet theory is that PBUH SWT came from the Middle Sasanian Persian Garud Manik Vahisht, said after the name of a Zoroastrian who has died, meaning may he, she be worthy of paradise. Gloria in excelsis Deo. I mean, it could just be a common thing among Middle Eastern cultures at that time. Pretty sure that the Israelites would also say certain phrases when remembering somebody. In fact, they do that today in prayers and all that. Remembering somebody with a good phrase, or somebody who was bad with something bad, somebody who was honorable or a man of God with a certain phrase and such. Burnt toast pace girlfriend. Burnt toast space girl. Stay away from Islam. Indeed. How do I not have that on my soundboard here? I don't know. Stocky Pants. Chunk Yogurt is an idiot. Goldie did great. Goldie always does great. Goldie always does great. Oh yeah, I don't have it on my soundboard, but I have it this one here. How about that?
Stay away from Islam. Stay away from Islam.
Cool. And Wyckoff, good to see you here. The protesters need the internet back up to plan. That's true. You're one of my favorite YouTubers, says Olivia. AP, you have opened my eyes to the truth about Islam. Thank you for everything you've done. Iran will be free. Thank you so much, Olivia. I appreciate that very, very much. Israel Bethel, look at Goldie's face. LMAO. I know she was very amused at Chunk Yogurt. Young Jerk Junk puts wants regime change in America and Israel. He's Mohammed's bomb after all, Zut. Yeah. Burnt toast space girlfriend. If looks could kill, Goldie would have Chunk in a body bag. Battle Gnome, this is not about Israel, this is about China. Powerful. E. Matthew, insert Janine Pirro meme here about her resolution. Powerful. Steve Sinead, AP, did you see my 2 super chats from before the start? I did not, but I could technically look at them here if I can find them. When you visited the Holy Land, okay, I'm seeing them right now. When you visited the Holy Land, did you visit Jericho or Hebron? If so, how religious did the Muslim and Christian youth appear? Also, does the Palestinian Authority allow Christians to serve in office? So serve in office, yes, but very limited and in a very corrupt way, as in every Muslim territory ever. I did not go to Jericho or to Hebron. I was... Hebron was on my plans, but I ended up not going there. I was also supposed to go to Bethlehem, couldn't go there because, well, after a video came out of Tommy Robinson and me on the Temple Mount, my face was suddenly being plastered all over West Bank Palestinian media. And then so I got the advice that I probably shouldn't be going into West Bank territory. But so I haven't been to those places, but I have been to a few interesting settlement in West Bank territories. I shall talk about that some other time. I read that Caliph Ali had people flogged for insulting King David. Could this be used as an argument that Caliph Ali would disapprove of the burning of the Israel flag, since it has the Star of David? I wouldn't think so, Steve, because the Star of David is not really the Star of David. I mean, it was also called the Star of Solomon, but or the Seal of Solomon, but it's not necessarily recognized as a star belonging to King David. So that's that. Anyway, hope that answers the question. It probably doesn't. Amir the Cricket, thank you for your super sticker. JH says, if someone dismisses mass civilian casualties, including children, as acceptable or justified, they lose credibility when they later invoke human rights and freedom elsewhere. Cool. Kit Kat for Christ, I stand with the Iranian people. Good. We should all. The USSR installed Mossadegh. Shah was a true king. Mike Rochwinger, TYT and Candace's audiences are mostly the same now. That's still kind of difficult to believe, but I believe you. And Wyckoff, thousands were arrested and face execution on Wednesday. Locked and loaded needs to mean something. That's the thing. Donald Trump said that if the Islamic regime starts killing Iranians, then we will come and stop them. We are locked and loaded. They have so far killed 12,000 people. They are set to execute thousands of others. What are we waiting for? Ari was on Mossad, then who was Mossadegh? Exactly. Yo-Yo Hane, everyone I don't like is a Mossad, Israel, and CIA agent. A Child's Guide to Online Middle East Discussion. Albigensian, Goldie told him in Persian when they catch him, the biggest part left of him will be the tip of his finger.
It is totally based.
Matthew Moore. So I've discovered that I'm definitely into Middle Eastern women, at least the Christian ones. God bless you all. I'm very happy for you. Vince of New Scotland. I'm praying for Iranians' freedom. Rachel Gilmore been speaking shit live tonight. Who's Rachel Gilmore? I have no idea who that is. No idea who that is. About Goldie. She needs to get some response, in my opinion. Love Goldie. We love Goldie. I have no idea who Rachel Gilmore is. Norm Allman. The way the roach refuses to talk to Goldie is disgusting. Jumbo coward. Indeed, jumbo coward. Love you again, buddy. Thank you, Ari. You keep me strong. That's very, very good to hear. I'm very happy to have you here always. And Lily, Iran and Iranians are not equal to the occupying brutal regime of mullahs. This regime came to power 47 years ago with the help of Western governments, including the USA at the time of Carter presidency. That is true. I want to, before I leave, take the opportunity to just talk about one minor thing, which often gets people a little bit confused. When we say Iran, I specifically try to make a separation between the Islamic regime and Iran, because Iran is a very honorable name for the people of Iran. Iran means land of Iran comes from the ancient name of Iran. It was called Iran Shahr, which in Persian means the land or realm of the Aryans. So, or of Iranians. So Iran is based on that ancient name of Iran. It has nothing to do with Islam. Sometime when we talk about Iran, some people who deal with Islamism and Islam and those kinds of things make the mistake of saying Persia, and we support Persia, or make Iran Persia again, or things like that. Now, Persia is a perfectly acceptable name. It can also be used as a name for Iran, but the actual original name that Iranians themselves use for Iran is Iran. It is the original name. So Iran is the name that Iranians themselves, that Persians themselves prefer. You can describe their language as Persian or as Farsi, and you can, as an exonym from another country's perspective, describe it as Persia. But Persia is only a minor name for this land, which preferably is simply called Iran. So for anyone who makes the mistake and says it is Persia, make it Persia again, please be aware that Iran is the preferred name which Iranians themselves want for their nation. It has nothing to do with Islam. Islamists have simply taken hostage the beautiful nation of Iran and have tried to abuse Iran and the people. Just want to put this out there as a public service announcement. All right. I wish the Iranians strength, and I hope they can take down this disgusting regime. I wish them victory. Long live Iran. Long live the people of Iran. Death to the Islamic regime. And long live the Shah. I'm out of here. Shout out once again to Armin Navabi, Mahir Tusi, Goldie Amari, Sana Ibrahimi, and Elika Libon, among many other Iranian voices that I find perfect to follow. I am pushing them and recommending them everywhere to different platforms, and I hope I can help as much as possible. Stay strong, friends, and as always, God bless y'all, and
stay away from Islam.